Chris Thomas is with us. We've been doing a series of interviews about the social attitude survey, which is now happening every year. This is obviously also relying on information from two earlier surveys, but have different questions. But anyway, public services, satisfaction, police, love it, all that. There's great numbers there for you. Anything that took you, worried you at all about those sort of things?
Well, we want to make sure that those
Besides
services that people have satisfaction with keep that satisfaction, and we want to address issues. So utilities, it's not as high as the police, so we need to do something about the public's perception of the satisfaction with utilities.
And Parliament, we touched on, of course.
Confidence in Parliament.
Confidence and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Financial outlook. Mostly people just don't have, no change was the sort of biggest level there. Were you surprised that the optimism on the Isle of Man is where it is, just
I think
static?
people, for some people, for 1 in 5 people, there has been an improvement in their financial situation, and the richer you are, the more likely you are to be one of those people. So government has got to notice that. In a year or so, we're commencing the 5-yearly household income and expenditure survey. So we'll be asking people to fill in for a whole year diaries about how much they spend and how much they get in. If you remember 2014, one of the things I began my political career with was focusing on the fact that the bottom quarter of the people in the Isle of Man didn't actually have enough coming in to pay their expenses. In a few years' time, we'll have actual data to see whether that's changed through what's called the Household Income and Expenditure Survey. But what we've got now is we've got surveying the social attitudes, whereby 40% of the people in the Isle of Man do feel as if they're struggling, and there is an optimism there. But we have to address the perception that people are struggling.
Staggering 84% people said they knew somebody who had mental health issues. 84%.
Yeah,
that's huge. Isn't
yeah,
it?
And even more interesting from that figure was that if you did know somebody from mental health people, you were more understanding about professionals who might have had mental health issues in their past, or people living next door to you might have mental health issues. We've got a mental health strategy, and these were specific questions that we asked for the first time. They're quite bold questions. They have been asked in Scotland and other places, and it is going to be very helpful for the public health and the mental health professionals in designing policy.
Okay, well, happiness scores, we touched on that. I mean, you borrowed this question, didn't you, from the World Happiness Study?
Yeah, and I think everybody in the Isle of Man would want us to be number 1, and we came in at number 34. So we'll reflect on that. Either we're grumpy people, or genuinely we've got reason to be unhappy.
And it's exactly the same question. You just get asked that question: how happy are you? Is it? The index is compiled from lots of other pieces of information. But building on that, in that section of the report, we've got questions about Brexit, and we've got questions about population and immigration. And interestingly, the public don't perceive Brexit to be the issue that politicians perceive it to be. Yeah.
But I think that's a bit like, does it matter how Tynwald and Keyes go about their business? It does matter, but people don't actually think it matters as much as it really does. What really matters for them is the balance between the cost of living and the incomes that are coming in, and health and education. Okay. And I think Brexit's a bit like that.
So let me just give the chart rundown. The worst things. Number 3 was lack of entertainment, 2 high cost of living, and number 1 cost or inconvenience of travelling. We could see that. But on the other positive side, number 3, the culture of the community of the island. Number 2, the clean natural environment, and number 1, which will please obviously the Chief Constable, safer environment, low crime, things you'd expect to see. To finish with, and quite an interesting number, 100% of everyone's got internet access that you've surveyed. That's become from nothing to absolutely must-have, isn't it?
And it's getting higher and higher speed. The Isle of Man does. I had the British-Irish Council meeting over here on digital inclusion, and the lady from Guernsey had to confess that they only had the second best internet provision. Isle of Man had better than them, and I explained to her how happy that made us here.
It does make us happy. And
we've got things to worry about in terms of telecoms and internet, but overall we've got a reasonably good provision.
That means everyone can watch this video, which is what obviously I was happy with.
And another
anything else you want? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, 2 other points. One is about equality. In the social attitude survey, it was confirmed that people think the government is making a positive difference in terms of gender equality, sexual orientation equality particularly, and beginning to make an impact on disability and age equality. So that's something that I take away as being encouraging, because in the next 2 or 3 years we'll have a lot of difficult choices, and a lot of people will have a lot of different choices as the Equality Act comes into play. And the other point is the population has been declining was declining from 2013 to 2016. It's picking up again now, and we asked people about what their views were about a population, and a greater number of people now than last year accept that the Isle of Man would be better off with a few more people living on it than currently live on it. In other words, nobody's looking for an explosion of immigration, but we do need to make sure that there's enough jobs. There are enough jobs here, paying enough, in line with the cost of living, and the quality of life is good enough to keep Manx people here and to bring the extra people here that we need.
Well, thank you for our marathon, and once again, if you would like to pick this up online or a hard copy is available. Fascinating reading, and we'll be sitting here. I can't wait till next year. I bet you'll be thinking about that one, because it could go either way, but at least there's a definite marker now that's going to go out.
A good politician is doing the right things to make the society in which they live and which they have the privilege to represent better, sufficient, such that people say that they're confident in their government and the government's making a positive difference to their lives. And that's the ambition I have, to be a good politician, and I'm thinking all my colleagues do as well.